Hello, my friends. Welcome to this new episode of Coach Talks with Shreyas. And this week, we have a very interesting topic and an interesting guest who will be sharing everything about work life balance and how does it differ between a C level executive, a founder, and an employee. So, without further ado, I welcome Aarihant Aaryan, the guest of today's show. Hey,
Hey,
Aarihant.
hey, hey, Shreyas. Thank you so much for having me. Apparently, I can't see anyone, but I'm super glad to be here. Thank you for the invite. I would love to know each and everyone personally. Feel free to DM me anytime. I would love to reply and connect with you guys. Thank you so much for
Thank you so
having me
much.
here.
Thank you so much, Ariant. And I think Restream takes a couple of minutes to start compiling all the um, chat comments. So we will definitely see. So we already have Shubhra joining us from YouTube. Hey,
Yeah,
Shubhra. And we will have many more joining as well. I see a few other familiar faces. Joe,
yeah.
she's just joining in a few minutes. So before we proceed with the conversation, please take a few minutes and introduce yourself to the audience, please.
Yeah, so I'm Arihant. I'm leading a startup called Big Business. Unofficially, I just graduated today. Of course, waiting for my results, but I just completed my exams today. I'm super glad that I'm off education now. I've been leading the startup Big Business for a year, 13 months now, and it's been a great journey. So brief about the company, we are building civil and cred for businesses. We are in the business of creating identity and opportunity for businesses and help them grow exponentially through our scoring system. So that's what we are doing for businesses, and we are a team of 19 now,
Mhm.
combined of part-time, full-time, and interns out there. It's been a great journey, and it's been a year since we started the company. And this month 30th, we are launching our open beta for the users, and tomorrow we are launching our waitlist. So that's some super exciting news as well. So yeah, it's actually a great feeling being a first time founder in a tech company, having no tech background and leading a deep tech company. It's super exciting and getting to learn a lot of stuff. Yeah,
Absolutely, it is indeed exciting, and I must say we have probably started our respective
yeah,
businesses during the pandemic. So it has been a great 1 year. That is definitely for sure, and we are getting some new people join in as well. Hey, Sagar, how are you doing? Paul is kind of our wingman, and he'll be putting in some humorous comments. So don't really
yeah.
get distracted by whatever he says. He's a good lad.
That's
Um,
that's all right.
so yeah, so moving on to the conversation directly. So what do you understand by work-life balance? What does it mean to you personally?
So work-life balance is, many people don't have the right perspective towards it. That's why many Indians are not highly productive, right? They love to say hashtag work-life balance. They love to give quotes and gyans, but we love to have misperception and a different level perspective from all the other people out there. Work-life balance is me for me is not just limited to my home, professional life, or personal life and professional life, right? It's more of me being efficient at whatever I do. Let's say I'm a guy who's more centric towards professional, and I don't love
Mhm.
personal life that a lot. For me, then work life balance is all about being productive at whatever I'm doing. And it's also the same when you pursue multiple passions, right? It can be, let's say you are a dancer and you're a software engineer, and you have to make sure that you're balancing those two things and being super efficient. So generally people, what do we say, they just ended up saying that it's personal life and professional life, which that's not the case, because you're a human and you have multiple passions and multiple desires and multiple motivations, right? So it's all about you balancing your passions, desire, and everything, and being super efficient at that.
Absolutely, I totally agree when you say it is all about having that
Yeah,
equilibrium between both your personal life, your professional life, and also in some way, have a dedicated time to pursue your own hobbies because in the
yeah,
end, we are still unique. So we have our own talents that we'd certainly love to pursue. So it's no longer the
yeah,
888 rule that defines work
yeah,
life balance, but it is the
yeah,
equilibrium between these three activities. And you're totally spot on when you say it is about having that idea and understanding how it differs from person to person and not be carried away by what others might define work life balance as. And we already have our first comment. So work life balance can be work as long as you're actually working and then your own work mode. Yeah, I think that distinction really makes sense, and it does in a way influence the way you see your work life balance. It is no longer the 50-50 divide that people
yeah,
usually assume it to be, but rather
yeah,
it is to do whatever you're doing, be best at it, and in the
yeah.
end still have time for doing the rest of the activities. So a
Yeah,
great
yeah,
approach.
but yes. What I was wondering is, I have this problem with this word called work, right? Majorly for many people in our country, work leads to ritual. That's the same with that's what they do with hobbies, right? They turn their hobbies into work and work into rituals, where that's not a human is supposed to live their life. More of whatever you do, it has to be a lifestyle at large, right? Whatever you're pursuing, it has to be a lifestyle. And when you do work, I'll give a greatest example, right? When you do work, you do it sake of it. You do it because you're answerable to someone. But it's
Right.
not the same for lifestyle, right? You pursue a lifestyle because you want to progress. So that's how it works. And I think it will take time, probably 1 or 2 decades, for people to understand what's the right difference between work, ritual, and lifestyle.
Definitely. I think that is a great segue to what I wanted to ask you next, which is about culture. So, you have been an entrepreneur and you have also been an individual who, likes to do his own set of things. So, how do you think culture and your work, that is your business, how has it impacted the way people look at work life balance in your company and around you as well?
So me, see, I'm someone who's highly culture orientated, right? And again, there's a misconception that people think culture means a company which is suitable to a person or a person who's working, but that's not the case. Culture is the people. If you have 10 Steve Jobs working in your company, man, your culture is of Steve Jobs, who are highly motivated to work, who are highly motivated to be productive, and they also see the future at the same time. So culture is a set of people, and it's actually a set of people's values as well, right? So that's a wrong definition out there. People think, I just come into the company, and culture is not nice, bro. It's like people, right? It's people and their values. So people have to understand that first. And next is, culture is not built overnight. You might say your startup might be 4 months old or 5 months old. You say we have the best culture. It is wrong, because culture is tested actually when you go through multiple phases of the company. Let's say you're on the highest peakest time, you're getting customers, you're getting traction, you're making revenue. That's when your culture is defined. And your culture is actually tested where you're on the verge of bankruptcy, and what your employees or team members are thinking at that time. So that's how culture is tested, and culture is not developed overnight. It takes years and decades to build. And majorly, culture is the byproduct of, mainly, like a higher proportionate. The culture is the byproduct of founders' values and what they believe in. So, and working, see, I'll tell you how it works, right? You Let's say cricket, right? People who play cricket, or Indian cricket team, they they don't care about what other guy thinks, right? They really don't think, like, what's Rohit Sharma saying about Virat Kohli. He
Mhm.
he loves, it's a lifestyle to him, And there are people who with common motivations, common beliefs, common understandings, doing it together. And that's when the efficiency comes out. That's the same thing with startups. And in professional life as well, right? So you believe in something. Let's say you're super passionate about app development and you're pursuing it right now, and there is a team of 6 or 7 members who believe the same thing, who love the same thing, same vision, same passion, same culture, same values, same belief, and boom, you're going to be super productive, and super outcomes are going to come. Because that's when, and I have an interesting hack here. If you want to know you're the right culture fit or not, you will be the first person talking bad about your team if you're not culture fit, because your
Yes.
values and beliefs not
Mhm.
match. And unfortunately we call those people as toxic people, but they're not toxic, it's just that they're not your culture fit. So that's what people have to understand.
Right. No, you make a great point there because there's a big difference between identifying toxic people and those who are not able to fit in with the team's values. It might be the culture, it
Yeah,
might be the vision, it might be the mission. So
yeah,
it is really important to understand the key differences that can arise, when people are toxic. It usually, it impacts your mental health in a very drastic way, whereas when you're culturally unfit, I think it is more
yeah,
or less to do with personal satisfaction, and
yeah,
it might be short term as well because times are different for us. Life happens, so sometimes we might not be in sync, we might not be aware of our own strengths and challenges, so that might prove to be a difficult point for some people. And for some people it is just that the company might not be giving them what they want, which is again, as you rightly said, it is up to us to be really able to be aware and define each thing in the right sense. Which brings me to the next question as to
yeah, before
how.
that, before
Yeah.
that, I just wanted to say something. When you work in your culture fit, work is not work for you, it's fun. You start loving it. So that's a great example. Again, if you're thinking, if you're working somewhere and you're thinking, is it a stressful thing for me, am I striving, am I hating to go to work there, bro, it's not your fit, or you haven't understood the company at large.
Right.
Okay, but if it's fun for you, whatever feature you're doing, whatever design you're making, if it's super fun for you, man, you have just found your club.
Right. It is all about doing what you love and loving what you do and making bridging that gap. I think that is where the real fit or progress happens. So we have
Yeah.
Swanjit who is having a question. So should we expect everyone to understand our culture fit? So what do you think about that?
Culture is not taught, it's caught. When people, I'll give you a great example. When you enter into a bar, you start you just catch the culture, right? You start speaking four languages, you make eight adult jokes, you drink, you smoke. But what happens when you go to a family restaurant? It's completely different, right? You are the wisest man over there, you are like the most you act like the most smart guy over there. So culture is not taught, it's caught. You don't have to explain anyone, they'll eventually understand it, they will eventually get it. And sometimes your conviction also speaks to them. Yeah, so
So it's rather not the expectation, but it is just something which makes the fit easier. Is that what you mean to say?
sorry, come again, I lost you.
So the question was to really understand if we should expect everyone to understand our culture fit. So is it really wrong to expect, or is it something that when you're working in a cross functional team where you'll probably be mingling with people from different departments? So is that expectation wrong? Is it wrong to expect a person from a different team to understand what your fit is, and the same vice versa? So is that expectation wrong?
So it's not about expectation, right? When you hire, see, there are two types of hiring, right? You hire for short term and you hire for long term. When you're hiring for short term, you expect people to understand, because you hire in such a chaotic situation that you just need the job to be done, right? You don't assess on culture fits. But when you hire for long term, you don't have to expect people, because you're so picky and so choosy that eventually when that one guy comes out of 10 guys, he will automatically understand the culture.
Right.
A-
So it
and
is.
and and, and expectation is something super bad. Except expectation is like assumption. that automatically leads to frustration, because what you expect and what you experience in life is completely different, right? There are two different bridges out there. So
Right.
that will automatically lead to frustration, and you'll start shouting at your team members. That will lead to a lot of chaos. So don't expect anything from anyone. uh, that's my final take. Don't expect anything from anyone.
You just spoke my mind because sometimes I've seen expectations become unrealistic and it leads to more confrontations and more
Yeah,
dissatisfaction. So it is better to look at it as a partnership where you come 50% on the road and the other person comes 50%, and you finally meet at a common point where the entire gap is bridged. I think that is the best perspective to look at. And thank you for answering that question. So,
but I have a little contrary opinion to this. That's what all the
mhm,
companies in our country think, right? And that's how we are different from all the other companies in Western side. That you expect, I'll come halfway, you come halfway, and so that there's a
mhm,
marriage out there. That doesn't work out there, because you're the company. See, ultimately, company is nothing but people, right? Since you are the company, since you're the one who's taking responsibility, you have to walk the 90 steps or 99 steps. Let that
mhm.
guy just make one step. That's where the empathy comes into the picture. That's when love comes into the picture, right? And that's when trust is built. Trust is not built by him coming halfway and me going halfway. It's built when I go to the unlimited end for him, for that one guy, saying that you are what we want. You are all we need. You are a guy, you are a team member. So that's when trust is built.
Definitely, I think you just highlighted the difference between, being realistic and having an ideal situation. I think that the way you explain, I think that clearly differentiates between these two scenarios. And
Yeah,
being realistic is what definitely will help you make progress because empathy, number one. Second, you're taking the initiative, so it
yeah,
bodes well for you as well. So in a way,
yeah,
you come to be seen as, I don't know, like probably a thought leader or that person who is willing to give in order to receive. So that is
yeah.
a great point. Um, I think this is where I think we can talk about the role of a founder as well. So how does the role of a founder influence the work-life balance of an employee?
I think it boils down to one thing, right? So what's the priority of the company?
Mhm,
What does the founder want at the end of the day? How does he look at his employees or team members? I hate the word calling employees for the very fact. I always love to say team, right? We're done with the industrialization phase. We are done with all
mhm,
the phases, right? It's better to call them team. So for me, one realization factor, as I was leading the company, I understood that a company is nothing but the team, the people in the company. If they are not, the company is not there ultimately, right? So a few of the initiatives which I took was, I felt every work we do in our life is a creative work, right? And creativity does not respect time. So I told no working hours in the company. Let's be task oriented, let's be task driven. I don't care you're working 23 hours, I don't care you're working 36 hours. End of the day, what matters is have we progressed, is the task done? So let's look at it that way, right? Let's, how many days will we still calculate the number of hours worked? Let's start calculating the task done, or how productive it was, how efficient it was. So I told, let's take out working hours. There's no working hours, there's no 9 to 5, there's no 9 to 2, there's no 9 to 12. You can work whenever you want, but just keep the task in mind. So that's one of the first thing which I took out in the company. And one of the main thing I say to one our hiring, like when we hire and when we do the discussion in the company, that's the first thing I say, bro, like, you can chill, there's no working hours,
mhm.
calm down. And so you don't have to write a paper and use a 9 to 5 calm, 5 to 6 I have to spend the time with the family. You don't have to do all those things, right? You can pretty chill. So that's something I believe. Number two is, since we work in a remote world, it's the responsibility of mine to make our people super motivated. Just get the conviction into the team, keep them progressing, right? So one of the few things which we do is, every alternate weekend we connect for team nights. There we discuss life, we bring some guest, we do AMA sessions, we do a lot of things, right? Sometimes we play games, sometimes we some I think sometimes we did truth and dare kind of thing, right? It may sound childish. And now we have this Discord server, and we all listen to music sometimes and work together, right? See, that's where the culture is built. Culture is not just limited to doors and rooms, right? And we one of the interesting thing which we do is, this is what I love to do. Of course, we do memes, we share memes. That's something I love to do. But every week I make sure I'm putting a controversial topic in the group, just because everyone should be able to express their views. They should not be like, Arihant is CEO, so let me not talk against him. Let me stick to his words, or to his perspective. That's not how a team is built, or a company is built. So we bring the most controversial topic out and let everyone speak their views. That's what helps the company to engage more and build that love, and the great rapport.
Right. So there are some few key points that I pick up from what you just told. One is, as a founder, you're leading by example. You're showing the team how it is done, and probably offer some inspiration and motivation as well. And second, you're making the best use of all these digital technologies like Discord platforms, where you're bringing in the entire um, team, and you're making them feel as one and have them involved in some
Yeah,
of these leisure based activities, because I think that is where people really get, sometimes the balance goes out of control because they don't really value leisure activities. They think that it
yeah,
is just a waste of time, but you're actually kind of incorporating it into your own culture. And
uh,
third is about flexibility. I think that is one other important factor that every company should look at. How can you
yeah,
offer the flexibility to your employees?
yeah,
Because now it's rather the focus is on productivity and not the hours spent at the office.
yeah,
Is
yeah,
that can make a major difference. Trust me,
yeah,
when I got offered flexible work hours, I think that drastically improved my productivity by at least, I would say, 20-30%. So what
yeah,
was taking probably 30-40 hours, I could complete it within 20-25 hours. So the rest of
mhm,
the time that was available to me, I think I could invest that in to taking care of my family. And as we all know, like pandemic work from home, one of the biggest concerns is taking care of your children. So I think just allowing your company's employees or your team members
yeah,
spend that little extra time, I think that will again make them feel good. So
yeah,
indirectly you're putting in all those happy moments, happy thoughts. So in a way
yeah,
the culture then becomes a really great thing, and people will actually look forward to working for you and getting the things done, because you're
yeah,
giving them something. Now it's their chance to give it back, and that will
yeah,
be a very rip-on effect. Like it will rub off on everyone else in the team. So
yeah,
if one person does it, three more will do. Then in the end the entire team is actually doing that particular thing. So that's a
yeah.
great few points that you mentioned. So we have Lakshay here. So he says we operate task based too, but while dealing in service industry, sometimes you have to be readily available to the clients, and not having work hours becomes a hurdle there. How would you tackle that?
So, like, we haven't. I personally, I led a digital marketing agency, and we worked for Indian IST timings, right? But see, I'll tell you an interesting fact here. When you don't have working hours, or when you have a flexible culture and work is fun there, everyone is a principal. Okay, everyone takes ownership. And when you have this kind of problem, let's say you are not available, your co-founder is not available, any other third guy would say like, Laksh, you chill down, I'll take care of it. That's what principle thing comes into, right? When work is just work, you maintain every rules and regulations. They start becoming an agent. Agent is someone who loves to get, who gets a delegation of work saying that do so on and so forth, and he just has to do that. There's no ownership in the work. And that's what sadly many government employees are in our country, and many private employees are. And I since I didn't want that kind of thing in my startup, I don't didn't want anyone to be an agent in the company. I told I would do the best things for the company, whatever, anything which I did in the company till date promoted the field of being a principal. Never ever in our company, like if something went wrong, the whole department took the responsibility, the whole department took the ownership. And many things went haywire, and that was a great example that we're building the right culture in the company. everyone started taking ownership. So that's how you can do it. You can encourage people being the owners of the company. And I can say to all the people in a company, you are the owner, you're not the agent, you're the principal, you're not the agent, I can say it. But the huge difference comes when you start treating them like an owner, or
Mhm.
start treating them like a principal. And treating them like a principal doesn't mean you just give some stock options or little equity or bonus. That's much more than that.
Absolutely. I think ownership, letting them take it, letting them get a feel for it, and just not saying it for the sake of saying those words. I think that is
Yeah.
a really important aspect of being a role model founder. And the second thing that I would add on here would be establishing boundaries and also having this right communication, effectively communicating to your clients, saying that these are the so and so hours that you would be willing to work for, because time zones, I know it will be very difficult, but at the same time, people who are working on a set project also need a certain boundaries so that they can have a clear distinction between the work life, their personal life, and whatever hobbies or personal activities they choose to engage in. So
Yeah.
I think it is a really great way to start engaging with your clients, communicate with
Yeah.
them, be clear as to what are the established timelines and how can one reach in case of an emergency. So that will
Yes.
give you a clear cut idea, and the structure that comes in, I think it becomes a good system for everyone to follow. And in the end, I think people will be definitely happy to oblige and stick to the particular boundaries. So I hope,
Yeah, yeah,
Lakshay,
makes sense.
your
Makes sense.
question is
What you
answered.
can do more efficiently is to maintain very good communication. Of course, you'll know, right, if your client is going to connect with you. What you can do is you can prepare a roster in the company, so people can just follow the roster and connect with the client. That's something we did in our recent product interviews, because everyone selected some very odd
Mhm.
timings, and there was huge time gap between the meetings. So I said, okay, one guy from dev team, one guy from design team, one guy from operations team. So this people are going to come, these people are going to attend, these people are going to write minutes, these people are going to catch first impressions. So everything was in order for us.
I think this is also a great way, to bring in technology and let technology help you solve
Yeah,
these kind of
exactly.
problems. I think that is a
Yeah,
very good advantage that we as a 21st century business owner have, which is technology. So I think,
yeah,
Lakshay, your question is answered. So we have Sneha who says it's all about earning appreciation check based on your performance that ultimately makes a place for some flexibility. Definitely, appreciation helps someone in your team feel good. It also serves as an extrinsic motivation, which is needed at times. Yes, I do always say it should be intrinsic, but sometimes you also need that external validation. It just not is not as a condition based, but it is also for
yeah,
the satisfaction of the other person. Whenever you give out a prize, you'll just see the child or whoever is the prize winner just jump out in excitement. So you would want
yeah,
to inculcate that excitement as well, which in the end
yeah.
will lead to some form of flexibility. So yes, that is a great point once again. So I have an interesting take in between all of these, and this was actually inspired by one of our viewers, Vidya Anup Kumar, who wanted to bring in a gender twist to this particular topic. So
Okay.
she asked, like, how does gender influence work-life balance?
Oh, that's a pretty deep question, because gender is like super trending, right? So see, every one of like, it can be a male or a female or any other gender, they have equal responsibilities in life. No one has less responsibilities, no one has more responsibilities. That would be unfair to say, and that's too generalized, to be very precise. So what I feel as a person is, we all, let's say my mom works and she also does some like cooking, and she takes care of the family also, and she's super efficient at that because she knows how her schedule runs. She knows how to use her time efficiently, right? And again, it's not work life balance, to be very precise. It's about how you balance your lifestyle. And you can't say because I'm working I can't take care of my home. You can't say because I'm taking care of my home I can't work. everything can come at one place and you can manage everything, right? And if you're not able to manage things, things will manage you. So you have to understand that. And sadly, again, many people in our country are managed by things, but they don't manage things. Like there are many examples. I can go on for a very long time. So that's something you have to understand and see. There's no huge difference, right? And I can't even think of great examples, because as you and me, we both know the amount of women working in our country is less than 6%. uh,
Right.
and some people are asking me, like, what does gender play role, what's gender role in work life balance? Then, like, boss, women are not working in our country. Sorry to say that. That's sad, but that's the true fact, right? We are way less than Pakistan and Bangladesh. So let's help women work first, and then we can think about how to bring balance to the lifestyle, or how to bring balance to their work, passion, desires, motivations, anything. But let's help them
Mm.
work and be efficient at whatever they're doing. Let's help them make money, right? That's something they have to see, because they're actually going to the top level but not understanding the small fact that many women in our country don't work.
Absolutely. I think you really made the point clear. It is very subjective at this particular juncture because
Yeah,
the data that is available, it isn't really exhaustive where we can arrive at a very set conclusion. But if I have to give it a different take as to considering women who are homemakers, so if you consider that
yeah,
as work for them, so the way I see balance can be achieved is to have this effective communication, because it all comes down back to the basics. It's about how well you can effectively communicate with your family members, have this understanding about what each person's schedule is, what are the responsibilities of each person,
yeah,
so
yeah,
defining those responsibilities, assigning particular tasks to particular person. Like now we are working from home, so what I do is I usually help my mom with the laundry, or sometimes if I have to wash the utensils, I do that if time permits and she allows me to do it, because
mm,
in a way it's her passion, so she wants to care for the family, she does that by choice. So that is
yeah,
very important. So are women doing household work by choice, or is it because they are being forced to follow a certain norm? I think that understanding, combined it with effective communication and defining responsibilities, I think that is where probably the issue of gender influence on work-life balance can be limited to at this particular point of time, only because the data is insufficient, and it's everyone's duty, not just the women's groups, not just the feminists, but it is the inherent duty of each and every
yeah,
human being to understand that everyone has equal rights, and in some way we can just play a part in bringing women to the forefront, and just increase the proportion of female workforce, and then
yeah,
have this particular discussion. So thank you for
yeah.
making that point.
I just wanted to give you an interesting insight that many people in our country are not good at communication, right? So we bragging about communication, saying that you have to be efficiently communicating with people. That doesn't make a lot of sense to people, because they, first of all, they don't know how to talk, how to express themselves, because they don't know anything about themselves, right? If you know something about yourself, you can just go speak out loud. But it's, again, it goes down to zero, that we have never been taught in our country, or in our education system, or let's say in our circles, to know ourselves and discover ourselves, right? And we say, I'll give you a great example. In my school, when I used to talk to women, it was treated as a shame. Then how do you expect a man to go and talk to a woman about his life balance or lifestyle balance? And how you expect a woman to go and talk to a man about their lifestyle balance, where in our country it's treated as a shame in our schools. So so
Mm.
that's a basic thing, right? I would recommend, actually, you can actually, this kind of things can be figured out on their own if they start working, actually. Otherwise,
Mhm.
there are millions of videos, thousands of blogs, many people writing tweets on work life balance, but still you'll not progress in life if you don't start doing it and doing it on your own.
True, and I think that is why I stressed it should start from the family, because
Yeah,
I think if it doesn't start within the family, as you rightly pointed
yeah,
out, it will be very difficult given the various reasons which we do not want to really, talk about. It is probably cultural, it might be a social stigma or whatnot, but it
yeah,
should really start within the safe space of a family. And I do understand some families it is not even easy to talk, but
yeah,
it should start from some place, where it can pick momentum, and then
yeah,
eventually it becomes something which moves on to a greater scale. So that is something which it's a responsibility. That is why I said it's everyone's responsibility to
yeah,
ensure that they also get a space where their voice is heard, the voice is spoken. I mean, we both
yeah,
are, we are bought in the lifestyle where we have lived in cities. We are quite open minded. So in our family, it might not be difficult. But as you rightly pointed out, if people are coming from a rural background, then it will
yeah,
be very difficult as of now. But
exactly.
if we can start something as a movement and give them the space to talk, I think that will be a great way to make progress and move forward. So let's see, we have Tejas Shah. So he says, for a student, studies are his work, and balancing between studies and life is difficult. So burnout and imposter syndrome starts to arise. So how to cope up with burnout and imposter syndrome?
So that's a great question. By the way, Tejas is from our team at the company. He's graduating soon, by the way. So that's a great question, Tejas. Again, it boils down to one thing, right? The burnout only happens, like majorly burnout only happens when you do things for the sake of it, and majorly it becomes, and actually, burnout also happens when things become a ritual. That's an interesting pattern I observed. And burnout also happens when things become so monotonous in nature. So, okay, studies is not created. Studies are not a work. It's a place where you learn things. Learning is not working. Learning is exploring. So you have to get the definition straight and perspective straight. And again, studies are many things, right? You can pursue a bachelor's degree, you can pursue engineering, doctor, but whatever you're pursuing, you should love it. And when you love things, there's nothing called stress, right? There's nothing called burnout. I'll give you a great example. Let's say now you're in love with a girl and you've been in a relationship. Will you talk to her every day, right? Every time you text her, will it cause you a burnout because you're doing it every day? No, right? Because again, she's a part of your life now. She's not even part of the life balance. She's your life, and you're not having a burnout because you love her ultimately. So that falls same with whatever you're pursuing. If you love it, no matter what happens, you will be consistent at that and will not get any burnout. Only if you're pursuing what you don't love and you're forced to do that, then you will go through a burnout, and you'll be tired, you'll be discouraged, you'll be depressed. Many things will happen in your life. And how to cope up? Let's say now your parents force you to pursue engineering. You can do that because you have no other choice, because you're living under their roof, right? Do something you love with that. Do something you love. It can be music, it can be dancing, it can be art. Also, do something you love. It will help out. It will help you eventually.
Right. You mentioned a great point once again. Like, it's all about perspective. So, if you're looking at studies as a means to earn income once you graduate, I think that is when it starts becoming a little bit heavy and you feel burnt out. Whereas, if you look at studies as an opportunity for you to make mistakes and learn from them, and at the same
Yeah,
time have that interest to learn new things, because each day you're learning something new in bits and pieces.
yeah,
So if you are looking at that from a perspective of learning, I think it will become
yeah,
more interesting. And sometimes I do agree, if you're doing any particular degree, uh, for many number of reasons, it can become a little bit boring or monotonous. So I think that is a very good way to realize that there are a lot of tools these days where you can practice or do some experiments over software.
yes,
I think that is a
yeah,
very great way to cope up, because for example, I did mechanical engineering, so hydraulics was a subject which was too boring for me. I couldn't literally, make sense out of it. So there was this
Yeah,
software called hydromechanics or something, which
yeah,
literally helped you solve these hydraulic problems by doing
yeah,
experiments. So you would arrive at the answer by doing an experiment. So that is one way where you can bring in some variety. And second
yeah,
is, now you have Discord. You're totally online, so you have been accustomed to doing
yes,
online studies. So you can have a study group which will really, bring in different perspectives from different students, so you can have a
yeah,
great discussion. And Twitter, I think it's become a great place, especially after Spaces has gained traction. So you can have a good
yeah.
discussion with the subject matter
Conversation,
expert if that
yes,
is what interests you. So there are a
yeah,
lot of avenues to look at ever since the pandemic happened. So just
yes,
see what works for you. Give everything a try. Don't be narrow-minded where you say, "Oh, Discord, it's just distracting. Who would want to go and sit in a server where it just pings every now and then?" So there are both
yeah,
positives and negatives. Try it out. If it works for you, stick to it. Otherwise, you do have something else that will eventually help you out, or bring variety into whatever you're doing. So I
yeah,
think that's
makes
a great
sense.
way to cope up.
Yeah,
So we have Michelle who says culture does play a key role. Starting in home is important because of different family values. You're absolutely spot on, Michelle. And Michelle is, in fact, an authority around family values and culture. She runs her own business, Cultivate and Thrive. So you're very spot on, Michelle. It does, you know, it is customized because each family has their own set of values. Each culture has its own set of positives and negatives. So we have to be in a place where we can introspect and see what works for us and take the best, leave the rest. I think that is a great way to approach it. Then we
yes.
have Varun. So he asks, what do you mean by work?
So I think that's something we have already explained in the beginning, right? Work is something, there's a huge chance for you, let's say if you call something as work, right? And if you act as it's your work, you will not really have ownership over it. It will merely become a ritual at the end of the day. It doesn't turn into a lifestyle. And there's a huge difference between what is work and what is a lifestyle, right? So yeah, that's pretty much sums up.
That does make sense because it's work and lifestyle are not the same thing,
Yeah,
broadly speaking. Because whatever is your lifestyle is, it does not have to be something where you do it each day. I mean, having a lifestyle where you would shop every Sunday, I mean, that can become a lifestyle because it is something where you spend your time, effort, energy, money, and whatnot. Whereas work, I would say, is something which you'd really be passionate to do. And even if
yeah,
you're not paid for it at the end of the day, you would still
yeah,
be, in a way, feeling that satisfaction that you have done something. I think that is how I would see work as. It is something that will give me satisfaction. Mind you, it's not
yeah,
momentary. It will stay on with me and it will boost me to do better each day. Whereas lifestyle is that momentary satisfaction, that momentary
yeah,
feeling of goodness. Because once you buy, you use a product, and then over a period of time, you just lose interest. So I think that is
yeah,
one key difference which separates lifestyle and work.
yeah,
So absolutely, Tejas, we are glad that you got your question answered. So,
yeah.
Aryant,
Super glad.
am I audible? I don't
You
know if
you
it
are
is
audible. You are audible. You are audible. Yes.
perfect. Sometimes internet just likes to play games. So I think the we have probably discussed what is work, what is life, what is the balance, and the various factors that influence it. So
Yeah,
let us look at one other important factor which does not often get the kind of attention it deserves, which is mental health. So, how can
yeah.
one take care of their mental health while at the same time aspiring to achieve this work life balance?
I'll be pretty much honest at this, right? Lockdown has been super, super tough for everyone in our country and the world at large because they stayed in their
Mhm.
homes for a lot of time, working and spending time, a huge time with the family, seeing the same faces day and again, again, again. That pisses off anyone, right? It pissed me off, to be super honest. And I think for right mental health is now getting a lot of importance. It wasn't the same case pre-covid. People well used to laugh if you had some mental health problems, right?
Mhm.
So now it's getting pretty much attention. But what you can do as an individual if you have mental health problems is that you go and consult someone. That's that's the first thing and the right thing to do. Not look for videos or blogs or content on social media, because they're not certified at it. And for a few things you need to be certified or experienced in that domain. So what you can do in work life is, again, it boils down to few things, right? If your company is super traditional and they want you to work in certain timings, there's a lot of stress for you. If you're not bounded by time zones and working hours, you can be efficient again. You have free time to explore things. And one of the best ways you can avoid mental health problems while you're working is exploring domains, right? Trying wearing new hats, probably trying out new stuff. What I started doing in my lockdown, in lockdown when I was working also, was I started cooking again. I started making different cuisines. That ultimately helped me a lot. So just try multiple things.
Right. I mean, yeah. So certainly following a hobby which you lost touch probably a couple of years ago, I think that is a very good starting point. And what I
Yeah,
also feel works well for our mental health is to set proper boundaries. I think that is
yeah,
what ties up back to the question that was asked earlier as to how you can work with clients who want you to be present whenever they ask. I think setting the boundaries is really key to give yourself that space to relax, to ground, to come back, from that space of constant thinking. Second is
yeah,
about work from home. So if you're working from home, I think it really works well if you can dedicate a certain space from your home to
yeah,
exclusively work based activities where you don't sleep, you don't eat, or you don't mingle with family whatsoever. It is your
yeah,
sacred space to do work. I think that
yeah,
distinction again helps you, at least psychologically, to separate your home and your office space, and in a way improve your productivity as well. And third is
yeah,
to just start listening to some good music. I think that has personally
yeah,
helped me a lot, where every night after my work is done, I kind of just go into my own zone. It's kind of a me time before bed, where I just
yeah,
listen to some good instrumental. And I myself am a keyboardist, if you can see in the background. So I do
yeah,
play for some random tune for myself, which gives me happiness. So I think there are various
yeah,
ways you can always ensure your mental health stays on top. And if, as Ariant rightly pointed out, if at all there is any issues, please do consult someone, talk to your family. Do not let it go untreated. Like sometimes people just think it will get better with time. Please don't make any assumptions based on whatever TV shows that you see or the YouTube videos, because in the end, you're unique. So your problems might be as unique as well. So
yeah,
just take some time to really have a go at thinking about your mental health and have a good schedule in mind. So that is something that makes up for a good mental health routine. So we have
yeah,
Sneha here who says, in the end, you have to make sure you fulfill your own joy. Don't leave yourself miserable, maintaining balance between work and responsibilities of people around. I think that makes sense, because in the end you're not responsible for someone else's joy, so you have your own needs that has to be met, and you have to really take care of your own responsibilities. So, anything you would like to add, Ariant, to this point?
see, That's what I meant, right? You have to make sure you fulfill your own joy. In the end, you have to make sure whatever you're doing is fun to you. If it's fun, no one has to force you, right? If
Mhm.
fun, no one has to follow up you. If it's fun, you'll keep love what you're doing and become super efficient, and you'll be progressing all the time. If
Absolutely.
it's fun,
Mhm.
yeah.
That's a great point. So we have Warren once again who has another question. So how to maintain good relationship with partner companies and how to know we are at good share in the partnership because my company is related to technology and partner companies regarding marketing.
I think if you ask me again, I'm no one to judge your company or tell you what to do. But in my perspective, that's not the right thing to do because you can't build a product and ask other people to sell it, right? That really doesn't make sense for me. Uh, you have to develop people in your company. You have to build people in your company who could sell products. Everyone can sell things. It's just about you learning and understanding how marketing works or how you can sell things. And you don't have to be super good in English for selling things. If you can easily communicate the value, that's pretty much done. You can sell anything in the world. So yeah, coming to how to know we are at a good share in the partnership, that's something I cannot answer because I have been never into a partnership with some other guys. So yeah.
Yeah, I think you make a great point. So it is about selling the experience. So that is where the real crux lies. And I do not really know how your company or partnership works, Varun, but if I have to give you a general idea as to how you can understand if it is in good standing, one, effective communication. Please have a communicate with your partners. Ask them if it means to ask them directly. Go ahead and just ask what is their perception about the partnership. How do they view
Yeah.
you? So communicate well with them. Second, just ask your customers for feedback. Sometimes they are best suited because they have tried your product based on the marketing services your partner provided. So if you can get some feedback from your customers regarding how the experience went for them, I think those 2 points would be a good place to really evaluate how you stand. And
Yeah.
yep, so that is a few points that we can offer you right now. So
Exactly.
Ariant, well,
I just wanted to add a point that
sure.
Varun, if you have to understand what kind of relationship it is, no, what kind of partnership it is. Is it transactional or relational? Is it money oriented? Because if it's money which is keeping you guys together, bro, some other day you'll run out of money, and that relationship will eventually go out. But if it's relation, it's values, culture, belief systems which is keeping you together, then heads up, man, you can do something great.
That's a great point as well. Thanks for adding, Ariant. So far we have talked about all things related to work-life balance, the mental health aspect, and the various tenets that it ensures. So now,
Yeah.
on the parting note, I just want to understand what is Ariant's way of having fun.
Sorry, can you come again? I just lost you for
So,
a
what
second.
is Ariant's way of having fun? If I want to know
Having fun.
how do you?
See,
Yeah, go ahead, Varun.
yeah.
Go ahead, Ariant.
Yeah, having fun for when I say fun, right? It's all about me being super excited for the next day to work with the team, get to do something new, and keep progressing, and sharing all the knowledge I have, sharing what I learn, and work doesn't feel work, or
Mhm.
whatever you do doesn't feel like a burden. It feels like it feels like you're onto something great. And when work is fun, you don't need to get motivated by anyone. No one has to come and motivate you. It's you can drive yourself. That's what happens with cricket teams and football teams, right? It's super fun for them, hitting the ball or just taking the mid stump, and just knocking a batsman over. That's fun for them. No one has to come and say, come on, you have to ball that middle stump, or come on, you have to hit a six. They will do it eventually because that's what they love to do. So that's my definition. If it's fun, no one has to motivate you and get back off you.
Definitely, it is all intrinsic. I think that is the best way to move forward. Um, Absolutely, Varun. It is all about development, empowering each other, and in the end, just making it
Yeah,
mutually beneficial. So, great point once again. Aryant, it
yeah.
is my privilege to have hosted you tonight, and thanks for sharing your insights and for giving me the opportunity to have this conversation with you. And we have had some pretty good participation from the audience, and I'm sure you would have enjoyed answering them as well. So, thank you once again for joining me.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shreyas. Super glad to be here. Got to learn a lot of things and see some fresh faces in the comments and the viewer list. And yeah, super glad. Hoping to do it sometime later again. And guys, if you're watching this, feel free to DM me on my LinkedIn or Twitter or any other platform. My name is my ID on platforms, so you can just ping me a text. And I would love to talk to you, connect with you, and help out if I can.
Definitely. I have tagged Aarihant Aaryan in the post as well. So you can go ahead and look at his profiles and connect with him. He is a gem of a person. He is young, but he is filled with the requisite knowledge that I've been a part of his Twitter journey, and he's been a part of mine for a few months now. So I can certainly vouch for if someone wants to reach out to Aryant. And he is launching his app very soon called the Big Business app, which rates businesses on probably the B score, if I'm right. So you offer the
Yeah,
business
that's B
B
score.
score, which
Yeah,
kind of
all
helps
the
you, right? So
yeah,
thank you, Ariant, and thank you to all those who have participated in this live stream. Please stay tuned for next week. I'll have one more interesting guest and a new topic that would be beneficial for one and all. Until then, stay safe and
yeah.
take care. Cheers.
Thank you, guys.